Hello dear students, today we are going to learn the first part of the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation. This chapter, Principles of Inheritance and Variation, is the first chapter for the unit Genetics and Evolution. Let's know the important topics to be studied in this chapter. The important topics are Mendels Laws of Inheritance, inheritance of one gene, inheritance of two genes, sex determination, mutation, and genetic disorders. Before starting to take up the important topics, let's know few important terms and terminologies. Firstly, let us know what is genetics. Genetics is defined as the branch of biology that deals with inheritance and variation of characters. Simply, we can say genetics is the part of biology that studies the two terms. One is inheritance and the other is variation of characters. Is it clear? What is inheritance? Inheritance is the process of transmission of characters from parents to their progeny, that is, from one generation to the next. It forms the basis of heredity, which is also defined as the process of transmission of characters from one generation to the next. Let us try to know more about inheritance. Whatever the character which I have, it may be my skin color or it may be my height, is transmitted or passed on to me from my parents. My skin color may be transmitted from my mother and my height may be got from my father. Such process of transmission of characters from my parents to me is called inheritance. Now let us come to the other term, that is variation. What is variation? It is the degree by which progeny differ from the parents. Characters which you have are transmitted from your parents, but you are not a same copy of your father or your mother. That is variation. Do you have any idea of how individuals have variation from their parents? Human beings knew from as early as 8000 to 1000 BC that one of the causes of variation was hidden in sexual reproduction. They discovered that variations occur in domesticated or artificial selected organisms from their wild parents. One such example is the Sahiwal cow in Punjab. Now, let us know some causes of variations. Causes of variation: reshuffling of gene or chromosomes, crossing over, mutation and effect of environment. Now let us start studying the first topic of the chapter, Mendels Laws of Inheritance. It was during mid-19th century that headway was made in the understanding of inheritance. Gregor Johann Mendel conducted experiments for the first time to understand the pattern of inheritance and variations in living things. His observations became the foundation of modern genetics and study of heredity. Therefore, he is known as the father of genetics. He conducted hybridization experiments on garden pea, scientific name is Bisum sativum, for 7 years from 1856 to 1863 and proposed the laws of inheritance in living things. Mendel had few experimental approaches from his series of experiments. They are: number 1, Mendel was the first to apply statistical analysis and mathematical logic in biology. His experiments have a large sampling size which gave greater credibility to the data that he collected. The confirmation of his inferences from experiments on successive generations of his test plants proved that his results pointed to general rules of inheritance rather than being unsubstantiated ideas. Now let us know why Mendel had selected garden pea plants for his experiments. Pea plant has many distinctive contrasting characters or traits like stem height, flower color, seed color, and shape. Number 2. Garden pea plant has closed flowers having both the male and female sex parts are enclosed in the same flowers. It is a self-pollinated plant in nature. Cross-pollination is easy to be done artificially. Pea plants are readily available on large scale. Pea plants have a short lifespan. Pea plants can be grown and cultivated easily. Mendel failed to produce the same results in whole wheat and beans. Here, let us know some other terms of genetics. Now, let's have true breeding line. True breeding line is the breeding line which has undergone continuous self-pollination, so the stable trait inheritance and expression for several generations. Let us take an example. When a tall plant has self-pollinated and got only tall without getting any short plant in continuous generations, then the breeding line is said to be true breeding line. Okay, now let us know what is the character. It is a distinct morphological and physiological feature of an individual. Example, stem height. Now what is a trait? Trait is an expression of a character like tallness, dwarfness, etc. To know more about the characters and the traits, let us learn the characters and the traits of garden pea studied by Mendel in his experiments. The characters of pea plants studied by Mendel are stem height. Stem height has two traits, tall and dwarf. Next is the flower color. It has also two traits, violet and white. Flower position, it has also two traits, axial and terminal. Next is pod shape. Pod shape has also two traits, inflated and constricted. Pod color, green and yellow. Seed shape, round and wrinkled. Seed color, yellow and green. Okay, these are the characters and the traits studied by Mendel. Now let us see how Mendel conducted his experiments on garden pea plants. Monohybrid cross. What is a monohybrid cross? It is a genetic cross that considers a character or a gene. Mendel studied the inheritance of each of the 7 characters individually by conducting monohybrid crosses and then in combinations by conducting dihybrid and trihybrid crosses. Let us study of an example of the monohybrid cross. Mendel crossed a tall pea plant with a dwarf pea plant. He could observe only one parental trait in the first F1 generation, that is, tall plants. F means filion. Filion means progeny. Mendel then self-pollinated the tall F1 plants to produce plants of filion to progeny, or F2 generation. In this generation, what he observed were tall plants with dwarf in the ratio of 3:1. Mendel made the following inferences from his observations. The characters are controlled by some factors that are stably passed down without any change from the parents to the offspring through the gametes. The factors occur in pairs. In a pair of dissimilar factors of a trait, one of them dominates the other and expresses itself in the hybrid, while the other remains hidden and is recessive. From the monohybrid cross we got phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratios. In phenotypic ratio of the monohybrid cross we got 3:1. Phenotype means observable characters of an individual. In genotypic ratio we got 1:2:1. Genetic constitutions of an individual are called genotype. Capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, small t, small t are the examples of genotype from the cross. Mathematical expression of genotypic ratio of monohybrid cross can be similar to the algebraical expression of half capital T plus half small t whole square. The solution is given here. Half capital T plus half small t whole square is equal to half capital T square plus twice half capital T half small t plus half small t square. Then when half is a square, we got 1 by 4. When capital T is squared, we got capital T 2 times. Then half can be written as 2 by 4. So let's write 1 by 2 as 2 by 4 plus small t 1 by 4. So we got that out of 4, 1 is capital T. Out of 4, 2 are combinations of capital T and small t. Out of 4, 1 is small t. Let us know what is the gene. Gene is a hereditary unit. It also can be defined as a segment of DNA which can express a particular trait in an organism. What are alleles or allelomorphs? Genes which code for a pair of contrasting traits are known as alleles. They are slightly different forms of the same gene. What is a homozygous? It is the phenomenon of having identical alleles at one or more loci. The site of chromosomes where alleles are present is called locus. So examples of homozygous are capital T and small t from the above cross. Heterozygous. It is the phenomenon of having different alleles at a given locus. Example is capital T, small t. The trait which can be expressed at F1 generation is called dominant trait. What is the recessive trait? The trait which cannot be expressed at F1 generation is called recessive trait. Okay, let's have this much only for today. In next class, we will learn about dihybrid course and laws extracted from dihybrid course and monohybrid course.